yet. Unfortunately, I got a call from Amrita. She had a family emergency, which took her to Connecticut about an hour ago. So we did pivot a little, and we are going to bring her back to talk about the same subject. But going into the holidays, we thought it would be awesome to keep in line with the exact same topic and talk to some agents who have had client events and done them at a level in which kind of fosters more business, right? So first, let's just start off with like a quick Q&A. Probably some of these answers will be on the obvious side, but what are some reasons why we would consider doing I call this a client event, but let's just call it a sphere event too. So when I say one or the other, it's interchangeable because it doesn't always have to be clients, right? It could be people you know. What are some reasons why we would want to do that? Anybody? What do we got?
So, I mean, we do different events throughout the year, and our main objective is to give thanks and just give gratitude back. Because of 16,000 realtors in Northwest New Jersey, when our clients pick us, we're very thankful and grateful. So we try to do events to kind of give back and do nice things.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think a lot of people would have initially responded to that with something that was for us. Instead, Francesca said something for them, which I think is really impactful. Gene Rivers was here and he talked about his in the listing clinic, which was a phenomenal class a couple months ago. And Gene has on his staff one human whose whole job is to make sure that every client that anybody on that team is working with at any given time feels the gratitude from the company. It calls everybody every week. What can I do for you? Oh, you have this going on? We're going to send this person to your house. Send flowers to the family for working with them. Like just overly, thank you. And the return on that for them, as he quantifies it, has been exponential. So he pays the person to do that, but the amount of referrals and everything that come from just the clients feeling that way is invaluable. So awesome. What's another reason? Let's get selfish. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a great way to maintain relationship with them because we're always looking for reasons to build and grow a relationship with them. So when we had ours, it was like you reach out to them beforehand, right? And then you follow up beforehand, and then they're there and you're developing a relationship, and then afterward you send a thank you. So it's like a great way to keep the relationship growing, which obviously gets more business.
And it's scalable too, right? Like you're doing it with a whole bunch of so a 3-hour window, you touch a whole bunch of more people in a different way than if you sat there and made your sphere calls, right? What else? Any others?
Saves you time. Getting a ton of touches in one day for 4 hours.
Right.
Yeah, and I think similarly to what Don was saying, like for me, it was like it builds the cadence of how to communicate with my sphere because like I think like I don't naturally really feel like picking up the phone and like talking to people, but like if I'm inviting them to an event, it makes it a super easy bridge to have that conversation because you're just asking them to come out to an event.
Right. Any others? Lou?
Can it also be a transfer of knowledge or value or insight if you're doing an event that is giving some sort of content of value, such as a buyer seminar or a seller seminar, you're actually providing value to them?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so from an educational perspective, I think we forget about that a lot. Like we have expertise in an area. Some stuff is so like second nature to us and it seems so simple in the process, but talk to a buyer when they're getting ready to buy, even if they bought 2 houses in their lifetime, most of them start out like a deer in headlights. Like, I don't remember what happened, right? So we can really convey a tremendous amount of value through an event for sure. Anything else? I know a couple of people look at them also as almost a networking group, right? And one of their goals is to bring the clients together to help bring value to the other clients. I've been to a few, I'm not even going to call them networking meetings because I'm not a personal fan of those, although I think they have a tremendous amount of value for certain people. But I've been to things where I could tell when the person hosting it was very purposeful about making sure I leave with some kind of benefit there and be like, Bill, there's 2 people here today I want to introduce you to, right? This person does this person does that. I think that'll be a tremendous help for you. So if you are putting on an event and you have an attorney or there, I would encourage you to look at that list too and say, who can I connect? And when people connect people, a lot of times you really remember the person who connected with you, as long as they're going to do a good job, that brings tremendous value back to you too. Okay, cool. Mind share, creating mind share, staying in front of them, even if they don't come to your event, just getting an invitation often is enough to say, wow, I'm honored, right? Like they're putting something on and they took the time to invite me. And then referrals to get business, you know, Pat said, I think is the ultimate result of that. So I want to take some time and I want to start really small and then work this a little bigger, so we can kind of get a full scale no matter where we are in this. For you guys, when you started with wanting to plan an event, how did you go about it? What did you choose? Was it big? Was it small? Do you regret it? Like, let's go to the the beginning of that too. So I got a microphone. This way people on any Zoomers can hear it.
Starting off.
Yeah, first.
Trying to think well, Meg actually reminded me that we did a client event when I was actually not in the business at the time, right? I think, but it gave me an opportunity to be in front of clients. And what I learned from that was that Meg is much better at planning events than I am. As was showed by the fact that I think like 2 of my people showed up and like 30 of yours came. But it is what I would say is like on a bigger scale, like so we did a bowling event for our past clients. And I remember like just trying to pull all the pieces together is an undertaking, right? You have to coordinate with the venue where you're holding the event. What is the budget? How many people are showing up? Making sure you get the invites out. So like what I learned from that was that for me personally, I'd rather do something, at least right now, as like a solo agent, that's consistent. So I kind of scaled back the events that I do now, where it's just a monthly happy hour, and like that is super easy because it's just always on the calendar, and it starts to build that, again, like that cadence of people now know the second Wednesday of every month they can show up at this place at this time, and I'll be there hosting a happy hour. So that was kind of my lesson learned, is like the event planning aspect of it. If it is a bigger event, takes a lot of time and it can be super rewarding. But I would also make sure that you are treating it like a lead gen activity where you're making it purposeful to reach out to people ahead of time, get that engagement. Like Donna was saying, it's you create multiple conversations because it's the before, it's the, you know, the day of face to face, and then it's also the follow up of calling all the people that came as well as the people that didn't come to either say, hey, hope you had a great time, or hey, we missed you, hope to see you at the next one. So I know that was like a jumble of lessons that I've learned, but hopefully that's helpful.
No, there's really good ones in there. Francesca, what about you? Thanks.
So, we do an annual, like, thank you party, and we do it at our home. And when we first initially started it, it was very small. We had invited maybe 30 people, 40 people, kind of had it in the house. It was just, you know, we had it catered. I made cocktails, and now over the last 7 years, it's kind of snowballed to the opposite of Mr. Stewart here, where like now we have tents and bartender and, you know, catering and wait staff and like the whole thing. So in some ways, like our buyer and seller seminar is something that we're going to do probably quarterly, which we did this quarter. For the first time we did a seller seminar. It worked out so nicely. And part of that reason that it worked out so nicely was the people that had said, 2025, I'm selling with you. So what we did is we put together experts in all the different fields. We had a financial planner, we had an attorney, we had a lender, and then myself and Lou as the moderator. So that kind of brought everything together, and now we have 3 contracts signed for 2025.
Wow.
So,
Where did you do
and
that?
Actually, a 4th contract's already active.
So we had one of our preferred suppliers sponsored it, paid for the food and the drink on our behalf, and we had it at a local restaurant. We had maybe 8 groups of people that came, 8 groups of sellers that.
That's probably the perfect size.
It wasn't-
Then we had a list of questions as a moderator, each group. So Francesca had a conversation about how to prep and stage your home, about the selling process, what to expect. The financial planner talked about capital gains, what to do with your money, if you have a significant amount of equity that you're gonna get out of it. The attorney talked about, you know, the legal process, what's a trust, how to set up a trust, the benefit of the trust. And the lender talked about, you know, if I need to buy my next destination, how can I buy before I sell? And we just answered a lot of questions and created a lot of content that not only provided value to the 8 groups that were there, but now we've got collateral that we can use from a social media perspective to just
Yeah.
consistently put out there as content.
Great.
And the good news is that one of our vendors did package it for us. So he had a videographer come out and record. The buyer consultation is perfect. It's completely packaged. It's wonderful. The seller seminar, I gotta tell you, you know, you can't work with kids or dogs, they say. You can't work with some people either, because it was like a lot of disruption. Like I was talking, I'm part of the panel, and then, you know, everyone comes in late, even though it says 7, it's like 7:15, 7:20, so it was a little disruptive. But we do have like a nice promo, so when we do it next time, it's kind of like just an overview. So we did get a lot of content.
And you serve dinner there too?
Yeah,
Happy's.
we had, you know,
Happy's and
like
drinks.
pasta and sliders and stuff like that, but surprisingly, most of the content that people gravitated towards as a seller was the financial planner and
Yeah.
financial advisor, right? How do I stay out of capital?
That's usually who
gains?
we run from.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No
So
offense
you know,
if
so if you're thinking
Yeah.
about that and you have sellers, you don't necessarily think about gravitating towards a partner that's in the financial services industry. But it might be in your benefit to start to find someone that you can trust or work with, because that's another content point for you to introduce your seller to. Hey, I want to introduce you to this financial advisor. If you don't have one that can give you advice and recommendations about what to do, some traps to try to avoid, and thoughts and all that kind of stuff.
All right, cool.
The capital gains is huge. You know,
Yeah.
You bought your house for 1,000, now you're selling it for 800,000. That was kind of some of our demo.
Can I
Right.
do a quick archive plug? So there is a bill right now that we're working on called More Homes on the Market Act, and we're looking to get Congress to increase capital gains exemption from $500,000 to $1 million and $250,000 to $500,000 for single and married. So really working on that. I'm pretty sure almost all of our local representatives did co-sponsor it, but we are pushing really hard on that. So a really great touch point to let
Yeah.
our clients know we're advocating to increase that, and the bill would have it match inflation going forward. So just another touch
And
point.
when is that, when would that be like
So
decided on?
it's still being, hasn't even been introduced to the House yet, not passed there, but there's a lot of support on it, and we're pushing really, really hard, because it hasn't been updated since the late 80s, early 90s. I wasn't even born in the 80s, so I think we're
Yeah.
due for an upgrade on that. So just a good touch point, if you have clients that are concerned about capital gains, rightfully so, let them know we are advocating for that to be increased.
Okay, awesome.
And maybe we can convince New Jersey to piggyback that with the mansion tax, push that up, because $1 million, how many
Yeah.
years ago? It's now in some towns, everybody pays a mansion tax. It ain't a mansion. Man. But
Cape Cod.
I love that. It makes sense. 500 grand in the 80s is a lot different than 500,000 now, right? Okay, cool. So we're probably going to come back to some of that. Thank you. Really, really good. I want to ask you and Scott first before we jump to Pat. Scott, for your happy hours now. So let's just look at that. I love that because it's simple. I was just working with a group in Sparta who's every month doing one day at a coffee shop. It's like, you know, coffee and real estate, no pressure. You have real estate questions. We're here for this 1 hour every month. You come in and chat with us, and, you know, people can just come in and coffee's on us kind of thing. Who do you invite to your happy hour?
So it starts with like my database, my sphere. I started doing it at a particular bar in the town where like I want to grow my business. And the goal is that like the more business that I do, in particular, it is meant to be kind of like that networking with me at the center of it, where like every new couple that's, you know, my main demographic tends to be like the first time buyer buying their first house, but they're usually pretty affluent, buying in like the $750,000 to $1 million price point. So getting those people cross-pollinated. So I try to invite them primarily, and then also encourage them to bring, you know, friends and family that they might know that are thinking about getting into the home search. So I've had people even take like the train out from the city for the day because they live in Manhattan, but they have a friend who made the move to like the Montclair area, and now they want to learn a little bit. So it's a like very non-threatening environment when we're just hanging out at a bar, having a couple drinks, and getting to have that initial conversation. And I co-sponsor it with like a lender, so he's covering half of the expense every month on that.
Awesome.
So.
So
And
you
yeah,
just
we-
email it out, you text?
So I mean, to make sure, yeah, so an email blast goes out, it's a punch bowl invite, so it's on a recurring basis. So that was again, like some of the like automation behind it to make sure that like I don't have to sit there and create the invite every single month. Just knowing myself, I wouldn't do that. So I try and like work and like realize what my flaws and what my strong points are and play into my strong points while trying to figure out how to like leverage or automate things that I know I would not be great at. But now because of that consistency, I just did the pie deliveries last week, and I had a bunch of people that haven't ever shown up to a happy hour asking me like, oh, like, are you doing like the happy hour is happening in December, right? Like, so like they're aware of it, even if they're not showing up to it. And then I think like, again, my goal is always like multi-layered, right? Like the pie event gets me in front of people. The bar event, even if they don't show up, they're at least getting that email. And then I just started I was using Reach for a while at your recommendation. I know you had success with that app. That gave me a really easy way to like blast out, because it's probably about 120 people on like the invite list, that core group. So Reach has the app to kind of do a text out to everyone and make sure they know about it as well.
Yeah, important note on Reach, guys. So texting rules have continued to change. If you're going to use Reach, be sure to only send it to people who are not going to hit that little button on the bottom that says report spam. Because if you use Reach and you get reported to spam, they will cut you off from iMessage for life. Matt Regan is done. He's like
So, and
at Lowe. Yeah.
It happened once. I was able to convince them, they took me off of it. And it's not your provider, it's Apple.
Yep.
And then it happened to me again. And I thought I was sending it to people that I knew. But
Yeah.
they said, sorry, you're done, no iMessage.
Matt.
I changed my number.
Yeah. So Matt changed his number too. And he was stuck in that same boat, but he got the same thing. There was the warning the first time, and then the second time. I have had people, even through Thanksgiving, use Reach successfully with no issues, but being very particular about, the size of the group you send it to, maybe 30, 40 at a clip, and just totally sure. We're in a world now where even if people know you and like you, if they just want to spam it so they don't have to see it anymore, they hit that button. Next thing you know, that red flags it on the back end. So let's, as time goes on, we had people for years using Reach, even for leads that they didn't know, right? Like they would get leads and just be like doing these mass texts. Those days are gone. And it's a pain in the neck to lose iMessage. So don't do that. But yeah, for small circles and stuff like that.
And on that note, I shifted now into texting through my like CRM platform, and they've got like an unsubscribe like tag at the bottom of the first message that ever goes out.
Different number?
Yeah, different number. And I purposely like sent out a message to that group, basically just saying like, hey, like it's Scott, like this is a real number. I was like, it's my business line. I'm just going to use this to make sure I can like get you guys the happy hour announcements and any like events that we do in the future. If for any reason you're not interested in like having this be a text that I send you, like just hit me up so that like I don't want them unsubscribing. And I did have a couple of people say, yeah, just like get me off the list for this. So
cool. Great point. Francesca, real quick, how do you get your invites out? Who do you invite? Oh, I'm saving the best for last. Don't worry, we're gonna go so deep.
So the way we've been doing it is through command. Everyone is tagged. So if they were previously at a party of ours, they're gonna get the invite. It just helps with the tags, and just on another note, Lou and I did the coffee time at Dunkin' last year. We didn't do it this year, but it actually was, we didn't get a lot of people coming to meet us. But because we're local and it was a local coffee store, we did end up having great conversations, and we actually did end up getting some business from it. So that might be something in 2025 that we reincorporate, right, Lo?
Awesome.
Smart plans are great though for us. We create an ad in Canva. Every contact's got a tag in command. And then we just search the tags on what we want to send. So we do that for open houses, events, everything. And then in the Canva ads also got a QR code that you can scan for information. But then when they reply, it automatically goes into command and we can see what the response is.
Yeah, we add a landing page and all goes into there. Yeah, from there.
Cool. Awesome.
Can you teach that?
Sure.
Please.
I can't teach the Canva ad. Francesca does the ad, but I can teach the smart plan and the landing page and all that.
Well, you're thinking you're married.
Yeah.
That's teamwork. All right, Pat, it's game time. So where have you found, because you do a whole bunch of different kind of stuff, right? Like, I mean, even to, I don't know if I consider this an event, but you know, hand delivering thousands of flowers to clients, like you're really focused on the relationship side of things. So through all that, where do you feel you've been most effective on what we would consider like a client or a sphere event?
I would say probably two things that I've done over the last, before Megan was born, before Megan
Had to
was
throw it
born.
in there.
Yeah, I had to get that in there.
Let me have it for the next 10 years.
So in my first business with my family, we did that Santa event that we do here now. And that grew and grew. Francesca knows because she was there, and it grew and grew. And we would literally have hundreds of people. And I'm happy that we brought that here. And every year it just keeps getting bigger. And what do we have? We're like shutting down time slots this year that we have so many people coming. So that's always been a great event that I've been involved with. And actually one of the people that came to the very first event back in the 80s is coming to this event with her grandkids.
Oh,
And it's not the first year. She's come every single year that we've
do you
had.
still have the pictures of her back then? Because that'd be a cool ad.
Oh, yeah. But we give the pictures away. That's
Right,
what we
right.
do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, her kids are like my daughter's age. They're in their mid-30s or so.
Wow.
So she brings her grandkids. I have people come without kids just because they're happy to be invited. And like what Donna was saying about the touches, you know, we pop it out on social media till it just annoys them. We sent it out in emails. Kevin gets mad at me when I take it personally when people unsubscribe.
Yeah.
I do. And I'm getting a little better with it. I had 3 this morning, but especially people that I know. But like what you were saying, with the reach out being, you know, you have to really be careful because even if you know them, and these are people that I really know, but people sometimes they just don't want that stuff.
Right.
You know what? So I just deleted my reach out this week actually. Before it got renewed. But anyway, so the Santa event is big. And then like all of December, I just kind of run around and give back for the most part. That's why I'm wearing farmer clothes today. Because I was gonna go to the.
I thought we were in
nursery.
Sparta for a minute. Nobody's there from Sparta, right? Just kidding, guys.
So what I've been doing for many years too is going and giving out poinsettias to my past clients and my people that I've dealt with this year. And I've had people that have been bringing them to for 30 years too. And I've got a fair amount of business. I would say every year I get a couple listings from it. I get people calling me for the next couple months, taking pictures of it, say, look, it's still alive, because I don't get the cheap ones. I get the good ones. I get the ones from the nursery. I don't go to Home Depot and get them. So that's like a big thing. That's a big thing that we've been doing.
I like talking to Pat during that time when she's handing them out because she's always super stressed on time because she tries to time it so she actually doesn't see anybody.
Run.
So she drops them and tries to run, and then they open the door and she's like, "Ah!"
I do. I drop. I send them I go down the side street. I send them a quick text. Check your door because they'll die. Poinsettias are, and this is why I wish I could be doing them now, but it's too cold. So now I'm constantly watching the weather.
Yeah,
It'll start next week.
And so like something like your Santa invites, and guys, for those of you in this office, like that's something we do so that all of you guys can do a client event and you don't even have to do anything. What if you come to that Santa thing, there's families, there's kids, they're drawing, like it's really awesome what that's turned
I got a
into.
good response. I sent it to a lot of my clients.
Yeah.
And a lot of them would have loved to come, but they're busy, but it was great communication.
Yeah, you at least get the touch.
Yeah.
Sometimes just
It
the
was worth
invite
going,
goes a
right.
long way.
Yeah, what we would tell people too is like, you don't have to go to the mall and wait in line. It's a lot more relaxed atmosphere. Although I don't know how relaxed it's gonna be this year, so I haven't said that much this year.
We have a
now.
system, we have a system.
Yeah, we have a system. But that's always a great event.
And how do you invite people to that?
Text, email, social media.
Yeah.
Through all of them. Yeah,
Yeah, we did a campaign, we did a smart plan.
yeah, so did
And our
Ray.
smart plan was fourth quarter, we're doing 4 events. We're completed 2, we're down 2 more.
And that's wild, because that's a busy time of year.
So we sent out the smart plan with the 4, this is coming up, look for these, save the dates. We did a save the date was the first one.
Yeah, we did
And then
too.
it was like, this one's coming up, sign up. Then
Mm.
this
Are these
one's coming
texts,
up.
Francesca, through Twilio?
No, they're,
They're emails.
They're
Emails.
They're smart plans, so it's a
Okay.
Canva ad, right? And the PDF or PNG file. Create the ad, the smart plan in Command, and then you have we have tags on the contacts and whoever, specifically, but there's certain ones when we have events or, specific to sellers or buyers or the holiday parties, sometimes it just gets blasted out to the whole database.
yeah. And we
I'm
also.
like Pat, I get bent when I
Oh,
see.
yeah.
it. I'll get out.
And I'm like, yes, they don't want to be part of us, that's fine, clean it up.
We'll send out a smart
Clean it up
plan,
by
it's not
database.
in a couple thousand people. And then I log into Command an hour later and I get the little red dot by the bell and it says 28 new things. I'm like, oh, who's unsubscribed this one?
Right. Yeah, and I think, guys, being okay with that, it's like, it's so hard. A lot of agents, your natural behavioral style is to be a relationship person. And when you're a relationship person, rejection isn't exactly exciting, right? And you're like, oh man, like you wanna please the whole group. And that alone prevents a lot of people from doing anything at all, right? So some people are like, I don't wanna to send this out or to do this big thing because maybe 2 people might think that it's me just looking for business, or they might, block me or, put me in spam. So they don't do it to anybody. But the actual opposite is true, right? For you to really get deep with people and get like that mind share piece where it needs to be, you have to run that risk and you have to know that people are going to unsubscribe you. It's a guarantee. My wife, if I was sending my wife stuff, she would unsubscribe me. Right? Like that's just her. She has to have everything clear. She doesn't any clutter. So I know that, right? My mom would read every single thing 18 times over and be like, I can't believe you. It's amazing. Right? So,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So life's about balance. If somebody does unsubscribe you, understand that there's just as many, if not way more people rooting for you. And that's what moves that ball forward.
You're right about that, because I think a Thanksgiving one we sent out to somebody that moved to Cedar Crest, and he emails me back, always good to hear from you, Pat. I'm 95 and still alive.
No, there you go.
Then he got the Santa one too. He's like, I'm sorry, I won't be able to attend this one.
Oh.
Oh, you guys are very good, you're 95.
Better see you next year, though. Oh man. So, Francesca, let me jump back to you and your party at the house. That's now turned into like a really big
A
thing.
rager.
Yeah, and after
3 a.m.
after this, guys, I wanna open this up after this to more mastermind style, where you guys can ask them questions, any questions that you guys have from an events perspective. My last question to you is, how do you make the decision on who to invite? Do you make that decision? Do you send it to anybody? And do you ever worry about running the risk of maybe missing inviting someone and damaging a relationship there?
Unfortunately, when you're inviting a lot of people, you are going to miss some people, and you might include some people that you might not have wanted to. Which is
Get excluded next year.
Yeah. So,
Who tags them?
so they're both laughing, and the reason they're laughing is we had, and everyone might appreciate this in this room. So is this recorded?
No.
Okay.
Did we record it?
awesome.
I'll delete it.
So we had a client with the last name Peters. And Lou was going through our past clients. So he sent to a Peters. And the realtor, yes, Olga, now you got it, yes. So we sent it to a fellow realtor invited her to the client event. She was very gracious. She said, George and I are not available. I know you can appreciate that, Victoria. Yeah. But so we accidentally invited the wrong person, and she was very gracious. Thank you so much. Maybe next year, but we're unavailable that night. But yeah, so you do make mistakes. The tags do help. So if someone has gone to a party before, it's because they've closed a piece of business with us. There are also friends that are obviously invited to our party, and there's also vendors that are invited to our party. So they get all tagged, and then it's very easy doing the smart plans and being efficient. Unfortunately, there is human error. I don't embrace command very much. So it does have a little bit of a shortcoming, but sometimes, you do miss people, and, you apologize. And a lot of times we'll say to our clients, hey, you want to bring a friend, you're more than welcome. They're always included. So it does kind of allow for that growth. And sometimes you just got to say, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake, How many people did you get in your house? Over 100. Yeah. So today I had the tent delivered. So I do a tent, it's like 20, Saturday night.
I think my invitation.
Yeah. It's, we do like a 20 by 30 tent in the backyard, and the last couple of years, yeah, heaters. This year every year we add one thing. This year we're doing holiday karaoke outside. So that will be really fun.
When
That's
we first
awesome.
started, people were bringing us gifts. They were bringing bottles of wine, chocolate, and we took a spin the following year, and we aligned with the Boys and Girls Club of Northwest New Jersey and their giving tree. And then the following year, we asked people, please don't bring a gift. If you'd like to donate, please grab a tag from the Boys and Girls Club giving tree and bring a gift. And based on our donation, last year, I think we gave up 100 gifts.
100 children got multiple gifts last year and the year before. The only year that
We give them a hand around.
That's awesome.
it feels really good to be able to do that part of it. And I think everyone wants to help everyone, and I think they want to be good to people that do the right things. You know what I mean? So I think it's all part of our reciprocity, whole thing. So yeah.
I have a question. So since this is a repeatable event, do you guys have like a running playbook of like, this is how many tents we had last year, not enough? Like, are you creating that master kind of playbook?
Yeah, every year we've added a component to it.
Yeah.
Like when it was scalable, when there was 40 people in our house, it was really, it's a big deal, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Once we started knowing that the numbers were getting up higher, like 65, 70, yeah. Once we got to that 70 point, I said to Lou, we got to get a tent. They're just, people like to spread out. I don't like people on top of me either. So let's incorporate that part. And like this year, Lou goes, are you 10 again? I'm like, I got my bins out in the garage, ready to go. Cause we have like a living room area outside, and we have an outdoor, that's where our karaoke is gonna be. Last year I had fur throws and the fire pit on. What?
We're gonna run up in there, yeah.
Sometimes it can be overwhelming. It's a benefit of repeating an event that I think
Yes.
is also overwhelming. So like I was hearing like one of the KW events where this woman just has like a running list of like everything they brought. So like that year when that event comes back, it's like you refer back to past Francesca.
Yeah.
Right, to help future
We
Francesca.
you know what? Having you said that, I should make a list and a checklist, because this year, every year I do calendars. Every year, it's a recipe calendar to all my clients. This year, I snoozed on it. I went to order them, all sold out. And I'm like, oh, but it's okay. I did something else. I pivoted and I'm doing a little cup for everyone, like a outdoor indoor cup. So you can, keep your drink cold, keep your drink warm. But yeah, I should do the checklist, because it is getting to be
And you're
bigger
repeating
scale.
it every year, so there's some comfort in knowing each year what you'll need, and you don't
Yeah.
think about it as much.
It doesn't always have to be at your house either. I mean, sometimes they are, but I know like Amrita will do them at places, right?
Yeah.
Like almost like wedding style. Bill and Donna here did a client event this year that I had the pleasure of attending. And outside of the thunderous hurricane that came through halfway through, it was actually it was an awesome event, right? And like good conversation, a lot of people connecting with each other. So, like you've also done some events where you did like yoga by the water for clients, right? And stuff like that.
Meditation workshop.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So what do you, I think they got a mic on the table in front of them. So like that setup, like how involved was that for you guys? The setup, the invite process, all that. I mean, scale of 1 to 10 from being, you know, simple to really complicated.
I'd say it was medium. We got
That's 5.
sponsors. Yeah, that's about a 5. I feel right now like I'm at the White House. I can't recall.
You're made for it.
We got sponsors, which really helped, right? So we got an attorney, we got a home inspector, we got a lender, and they sponsored different things. Like one did the food. We had an ice cream truck that we brought in. 2 home inspectors. Ice cream. We had 2 of us doing this together, which also helped. But sponsoring different things, and we had games for the kids, and it was in the summer, so we have the house on the lake, and we had the pool for the kids, and various games, and everybody just seemed to go with the flow with we had 2 hours out of the 4 hours it was raining.
But
So
you did have tents.
luckily we had the big
So
tent.
if you're gonna do this, like always plan for worst
Yep.
case scenario.
And some people hung out in the garage because there was 2-car garage, so people were hanging out there, hanging out in the tent, and then some hung out in the shed. So, and then a few hung out in the house, which is fine. But that was obviously a concern to make sure you have the space. God forbid the weather's not good when you're doing an outdoor event like that. But it really wasn't that difficult because I think all the horses we had, it did take us 2 days to get everything set up that we did, the prep for it.
And how did you go about who to invite?
It was mostly past and present clients. Pretty much that was it, past and present clients. And it was kind of strange too, because I invited clients from like 10, 15, 20 years ago that I don't do a lot of client events. So they're like, well, I haven't talked to you. And, but I figured, what the heck, a couple. The RSVPs were kind of important too, because with the food, you want to know how many, right? So there was people that didn't show that RSVP'd, yes, and then there was 1 or 2 that came that didn't RSVP. But as long as you're within there was so much extra food, it didn't really matter. But it was a good event.
Awesome. Yeah, that one was really good. I would also say, like, for those of you who haven't done events before, there's kind of a cheat where you actually bring a group to some other event, right? And sometimes this could be like this nice way to get into that game, but not have to, do the coordination of it. I love small scale stuff, like Scott said about the ongoing happy hours, a nice tempo with that. People get used to it, they get comfortable with it. You might have the same people showing up for a drink all the time, but I'd like to challenge everybody here, and this is something that we've done, is keep your eyes open. You get invited to a lot of stuff that you say no to. You get asked as an agent to sponsor a lot of things that you say no to, which could be an opportunity for an event that looks like yours, but you're simply bringing other people to it, right? Especially the ones that have like tables, like your local PBA, all that stuff. They have like a comedian come in one night. You can buy a whole table for a couple $100, invite 10 of your past clients from that town. You bring them all together. There's no setup. There's no nothing. You can ask somebody to help sponsor that with you so that they're there with these clients as well. And next thing you know, you've had a nice little event, you've scaled it, you've done something for the area that you're in, so you're winning there, and you're bringing those people together. Sporting events, I know over the years, people have taken me to sporting events, from a business perspective, and in those conversations and those atmospheres, a lot of contacts and connections are made. So, can you align your resources in a way that maybe gets a little box for a Devils game, which is way cheaper than a lot of other things, right? Or if you want to save even more money, you go to like a Seton Hall basketball game, right? You can super affordable, but it creates an experience. You bring 20 people to your box, you get a good portion covered, from a sponsor perspective. And next thing you know, you didn't have to do any of it. You got the FaceTime, you got an event out of it, but you didn't really do the event itself. So I think that might be an area to keep your eyes open too, as you kind of get into, into that process of finding ways to scale, to have more conversations, more connections, more relationships in like a shorter period of time. What forward thinking, what do you guys have on the horizon? Anybody in this room have an event that they're hoping, thinking, or planning to do, or one that you've been to that was really like impactful?
Here's another one that we did with Teresa. We did shredding event.
Oh, yeah.
2 years in a row. I'm hoping to do it again this year. Tim did it last year. Last year, talk about fail. We had major fail. Shredding truck didn't show up.
I never heard about that.
Oh, I don't tell many people.
What'd you do?
Burned it. Well,
Bonfire.
we confirmed it on Friday before. I just kept walking away, calling the number on the Saturday. They'll call me back on Monday. But the good thing about it, and this is why I think I might do it again, because it was memorable. You know what? We took the shredding. If they want to leave their shredding, we took their shredding. Then on Monday, a shredding truck came through here, and Teresa chased them through the parking lot and gave them $20, and they took all our shredding. So at the end, it worked out. But I had some people come that I have, like Donna was saying, people that I sold houses to, and their kids came to the Santa party, and now the kids are going to college. This is a great time to reach back out.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and those kind of events give you, it's one of the few non-awkward times. Like the holidays is a non-awkward
Yeah.
time to reach out to people you haven't talked to in 10 years. You'd be like, hey, we haven't talked in forever. I know the holidays are here. I want to see how you and the family are doing. You now reestablished a relationship. If you don't do that, it's really weird to reach out to them in February and be like, hey, inventory is really low. You're looking to buy or sell something. It's just very ingenuine. But
It's like when we did our COVID calls.
right,
Yeah.
you start throwing like events like that out, it gives someone a reason to come. And now you reconnect there. Now a conversation with them about real estate in February isn't so weird anymore, right? It's
Yeah, I
totally
mean,
accepted.
especially this one couple, they came to see me to talk about real estate.
Right.
Yeah, their kid's graduating next year, and I mean, I do drop them a plant every year, I have to say. So I am on that one. I got one listing I got this year. He called me up, and the first words out of his mouth was, "Your plant's paid off. I'm ready. I'm ready."
That's
So
nice.
it's a long game, but I'm all about a long
If you
game.
did the math, you might have just got your money back. But
There's no question.
you're buying all those expensive
fancy
poinsettias.
stuff.
Yeah.
There's a nursery.
They're the better ones. Yeah. It depends on the year. Probably do about a couple hundred. My list is about 200. Yeah, but over the years, being more and more, I keep it Wayne, Pumpton Lakes, Pumpton Plains. I don't go far anymore.
Well, and then like breaking that down though, like how much does that actually cost you? Like how much are the fancy poinsettias?
$6.40.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
you're dropping what, $1,200? People
Yeah.
spend that much
It's
in like
nothing.
a month advertising like Zillow leads.
It's nothing.
And yet you're having an impact with 200 people that actually already know you, like you. want to,
Exactly.
Like support your business.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge.
Mhm.
And you get the FaceTime when they see you running off the Ring camera.
Exactly. I did text them. I mean, when I do get caught too, I just say like, I got a truck full of these things. Like I can't, like, I'll stay a couple of minutes, but
Yeah.
sometimes, especially at the holidays, come on in, you want a drink? I'm like, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So,
another
yes.
event that we're overlooking is open houses. So like, I know with open houses, Lou and I will have people come in and they'll come in to like interview us. They'll come in to check out our process. And we've gotten at least a handful of listings in that manner because of that reason. Do you agree, Luigi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that traditional mindset of what you would think an event would be, but we just had it happen at the listing we had in Wayne, where the guy came in and it seemed a little weird based on the questions he was asking. And as we were walking him through the house, he was, you know, he was kind of giving away his tell. And at the end, he said, I really just came here because I'm thinking of listing my house in the spring and I wanted to get an idea of how it works and what you guys were.
Yeah.
about."
Nice.
I've been telling the team that too. I mean, when it comes to, it's a little segue here, when it comes to these buyer agreements too, like, I think the good part about it is I think buyers are going to open houses to interview realtors,
Yep.
to meet people. You know
Yeah.
what? Because it's free there. They don't have to sign up. They don't have to do anything.
Especially today.
Yeah, since the buyer agreement started, I think it's like a listing agreement with a
Yeah.
buyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
For that reason. The buyer came in and was like, you know, I've been to a lot of open houses and I feel comfortable with you guys, you didn't push us, you just were informative and. Like, okay.
Mm. I would say we're gonna run this back with Amrita. We had a really good setup put in place to talk. Some of her events are really large scale, right? She does a lot of like personal branding and stuff within them. I mean, the one I talked to her about a couple months ago, the plates had her logo on it. So as you're eating your food, right, you're like burning that into your brain. Really, really cool stuff. But understand that there are people who make their entire business lead gen off of events. There are people who make their whole lead gen off of just open houses. Gene Rivers has a few people on his team who will do over 40 transactions a year. They do 4 open houses every weekend, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, top and bottom. And they do short ones, like I think an hour and a half each. So they get 4 of those in. And they don't prospect during the week because that's their whole goal is during the week, they're just setting up for this event, right, at these open houses. That's their way to have a conversation. You do the same thing. Jeff Glover, was it somebody here who was talking to about Jeff recently?
Grand scale thing? Or-
Yeah. So
Yeah,
could
well,
you take a minute and just tell us like what Jeff does? Because there are some agents who, Jeff is really a big sphere guy, right? Like he's gone so deep. Was anybody here when we brought Jeff in? We had Jeff do a thing here once. And he had really just kind of turned that corner and going super deep with the sphere, a ton of touches. And now he does a lot like big events. So Scott, if you want
Yeah, well, so we were just talking about, and I also want to promote 2 books that I've read that I think like kind of align with this thought process of like doing events is all about just again like giving back to other people and like kind of, you know, so appreciation marketing is a book I read, and also giftology, where the concept is again like just and I've taken lessons from these that aren't necessarily client events, but like when someone refers you business, rather than waiting until you've like secured that business, right? You've gotten a listing or gotten a buyer agreement with that person. Like I immediately now have like a checklist flow for that, where as soon as we get the referral, the person that sent the referral to us is getting like a gift in the mail. And it just kind of builds that, again, that rapport where they feel like they're being rewarded for the activity then. And so then they keep doing it more and more. I've had one lady refer me so much business that like she told me to stop sending the gifts because it was like, it's enough. Like I've got all these cutting boards and gift cards to places. Like we can't do it. Like we're good. But Jeff Glover does something that's at a like grand scale, which is at the beginning of every baseball season, he invites all of his clients basically to like a big happy hour at a bar. And then, yeah, they raffle off like basically tickets to like a box suite at the Tigers game for opening day. And I just think, again, it's the one thing that I would also take from like everything we've talked about today is it's consistency. And I also think really important to kind of like, yeah, like plan out like who is it that you're trying to attract into your world or retain in your world? And so I think with Jeff's event as an example, it's like he is Mr. Detroit, like, and the branding is there. Like you were mentioning Amrita, I'm like dying to hear that conversation because it's like you really, when you plan this out so that it does become part of your business and figure out all those nuanced ways, like Francesca, you were talking about adding something new every year. Like to me, I just think Glover doing that event has forever ingrained him in my head as Mr. Detroit, Mr. Michigan. And so if I ever needed to send a referral, like I've got Jeff top of mind because he's branded himself as that. And he does all of his events circled around that concept, giving back to his clients and centered around being Mr. Michigan.
Right.
So,
And that takes away to like you start really big. I asked some questions before because I'm like, man, you don't want to leave some people out. Like if he just took a group of people to the Tigers game, you know, somebody else who might have given him a bunch of referrals or something, be like, oh, I'm a Tigers fan, right?
Yeah, and I
But
think
but
that invite list is like in the thousands for the happy hour
Setup.
preceding it. And
Yeah.
then yeah, that's his way of scaling it down where he's able to give the big gift to a select person that's at that event.
yeah,
But yeah, you know, the open invite is probably thousands of people getting invited into that event.
The Lions, too.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is just taking it back to a real small scale level, like so that anyone sitting here today can actually take action on, right? Like not necessarily having to go out and plan a big event or anything, but shout out to Tommy Choi, who I heard him speak years ago about the concept of like his big belief is that he needs to eat lunch every day, and why shouldn't there be somebody on the opposite side of the table from him? So I would say like even if you don't do any kind of grand scale event, keep that in your mind and think about like who are the top 5 people that are influential in your database already, who either already are sending you referrals or you know, like if you just train them into how to send referrals to you, like who are those influential people that you already know that you want to build a better relationship with, and invite them to lunch between now and the end of the year. Like super simple. And I promise you, if you just consistently do that, right, it could be once a quarter. Invite those 5 people to go out to a lunch, and it could be just a one-on-one. You could start to kind of blend them together, but like that is such a simple micro level client appreciation event that anybody in this room could do as soon as we leave the room today. So that's my thought.
anything you want to close this out with, Francesca, and then Pat?
I think one thing too that's nice for the events is branding. So we have it now located in our office. Lou's sister bought it for us for our birthdays because we're 10 days apart, and it says Team Messercola on it, so it actually lights up with the greenery. A couple years ago, I had the Team Messercola logo banner done. So when we do have events, we kind of have it present, and then it's a good opportunity to take an Insta shot in front of it.
Mhm.
Where once again, the branding is incredible.
Love it. What you got for us? Send us home, Pat.
I got a lot of business out of a bar.
How
about that?
She's got people in her downline out of a bar in a different state.
I do.
Yeah, it's just-
So, my cousin owned a wine bar in Pompton Lakes, and I would stop there like twice a week around happy hour, talk to people. So my cousin, who was also a realtor, I pulled so much business out of there and still continue to 10 years later.
Wow.
My cousin would get mad at me. And I'm like, but they're looking at you as the guy, he owns the bar. They're looking at me for real estate. So whenever it ended, it was all about people always want to know what's
You
happening. in
get
the
kicked
market.
out of your own family's bar.
Exactly. Yeah, he wasn't happy.
Is there
about it.
anybody in your family that doesn't do real estate?
My daughter.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
My daughter's in biotech.
She's the smart one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can I just share one thing that I heard at Mega Camp? So Mega Camp, I guess it was pre-COVID. Someone had talked about how like the goal isn't necessarily to have them come to the event. In fact, a lot of the mega agents said they were happy when people didn't come because it was less work and less money. They said the real goal is the invitation, the follow-ups, it's those touches.
Mm.
So I know for me, like I'm afraid of being rejected tremendously. So like if I was to like host an event, like, what if no one comes? And the thought process was like, oh, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. And I think if anyone here is like concerned about, well, what if 4 people come? It's not about who's there. It's about all the touches leading up to it and then following up after. And I think that might help anyone that's maybe like a little needs of love and attention like me.
And also if 4 people come, you have more time to spend with those 4 people.
So like, don't
rather
focus
than
so
having-
much on a huge event and getting everyone there.
Yeah.
It's really just talking to your database. It's an excuse. And I heard that. I was like, wow, I would never think someone would say, we actually are kind of happy when someone doesn't come. It's like one less thing to do,
Yeah.
but it's
Mm.
really the conversations following.
Like when our shredding truck didn't show up.
Yeah.
We had a lot of time to talk to him while we were stood there waiting, so.
And holding their shredding. Guys, if you can do me a favor, Matt and Alani, for those of you who joined a little late, we had a last minute change of plans, and Rita had a family emergency which took her to Connecticut last second. So we'll be praying for her and her family. But I had a meeting. Matt and Alani reached out to these amazing people here and ask them to jump in, people who do events and, put us in the spot to still be able to have I think, a really valuable conversation. I put some stuff in my notes that one day when I do get up to the plate of a client event, I'm going to put in play. But I want to thank you guys. If you guys could just help me give a round of applause for those who set it up. And that's to you guys for giving me your time. Francesca goes, "What are we talking about?" I said, "What are you talking about? I don't know." I'm coming in hot, but thank you guys so much. That was super valuable. And keep this in mind, guys, around the holidays. Do something little. Go to a Detroit Tigers game.